So this is going to be means we shall discuss the next two implementation examples quickly. It hardly takes some 10 minutes, and then we'll discuss about the what we call it as internals stuff. And if at all you want any clarifications, we shall do that also. That's what is the intention of this. And your internals is starting from Monday. So our system software and compiler design will be on Tuesday. Okay. So we shall discuss about that in detail. Yeah. To continue with, last class we have seen the implementation examples. We completed all the loader concepts that includes bootstrap loader, absolute loaders, as well as the linking loaders, as well as linkage editors, as well as dynamic linkers. All these things we have discussed, and then we have come to a point where we discussed about some of the implementation examples, which includes we discussed in detail the MS-DOS linker called as a link, right, which has got many set of records so as to specify the segments and the object code as well as the modification records, which can be used in a different way so as to link the object code. It uses a linkage editor, means it links relatively and writes it into a file which we call it as .obg, and that will be your object code will be in the file .obg, and after linking we're going to create a file called .exe, which is going to be used by a relocatable linker, so means relocatable loader, so as to load it onto the memory and do the necessary changes. That means add the load address to all the instructions as well as the operand addresses. Fine. Two more implementation examples we need to see. One is called as Sun OS linker, which is used with the Spark systems, SPRC systems, that architecture of the system. So practically we haven't used them, but we need to discuss about that. Yes. It provides two different types of linkers. One is link editors. Other one is the runtime linkers, as usual. But this runtime linkers was not being discussed with the MS-DOS. So means to say this also produces the linking, means this also works as a linking editors. Means it after object code is got, it link it relatively using relative address, creates a file, an executable file, and that executable file is given to the runtime linkers, which is going to link it and load it during the execution. But this is also not a dynamic linker. Yeah. It takes set of object programs from the assembler, combines them to produce a single output module. And this single output module are of different versions. One may be a reallocatable object module. The same happened with our MS-DOS thing, reallocatable object module, which need to be loaded and it should be reallocated according to the start address of the program. Second one, static executable, which is static, means it's completely ready for execution. Just it need to be loaded into the memory and it is going to be ready to run. Next one is dynamic executable, which is using your dynamic linkers. Means we're going to have only one copy of the libraries, and whenever any function in the library is called, then it is going to be linked during the executable time or runtime, right? Okay. The last option is shared executables. Shared executables are the sort of library or the code that is already converted into an object file. We can think it of as a library, but it is shared by many different programs. Many different programs. For example, you have written one function. That function is an input-output function. Means it is one control section which does the input-output, and that control section is needed by many programs. So unnecessarily writing those particular things, you have just included them. You have included user-defined header files. You are included, and that need to be attached as a copy with all of them. So after the programs are compiled or assembled, object code for this shared module will also be produced, but that will be just attached to other programs which are using them, right? So something like I can put it like this: we have external definition and external objects. External definition are the symbols that are defined in this section but used in the other section. Similar to that, shared executables or the code or the control sections that are shared between the set of programs. Okay. Okay. The object module can contain a set of sections, each having a set of attributes, and these attributes are either executable or writable. So the sections are divided into executable and writable. This is what is a simple way we can understand. And this is a case study, so we cannot manipulate them. We just need to understand and use them as it is. Fine. Okay. Link editors that is used in Spark machines. It reads the object program and groups the code belongs to the attributes, means either executable or writable into a separate sections. Means a part of code may be belonging to executable, next part of code is belonging to writable. So now they are concatenated together so as to have one set of executables and one set of writables. Means to say those are instructions will go into executables and those other things will go into writables. That's how the implementation is happening. The symbol tuple of input file is referred to allocate the address and do reallocation and linking the output file. So, external global symbol table is maintained for the entire program so as to resolve all the external references. Okay, linker generates a new modification record for those symbols that are that has to be binded during the runtime. So those symbols which are available will have the entry in external symbol table or global symbol table, and those that are not, which are either belonging to libraries which need to be linked dynamically, or which are belonging to the shared executables which are supposed to be linked dynamically, these things are entered into a separate symbol table and they are binded together with your source code during the time of execution. So that means dynamic linking is happening. Okay, the symbols that are unresolved are processed using something called archives and shared libraries or shared objects. So archives are the collection of reallocatable module that can be included just like your libraries. Okay, shared objects, they are invisible units of the code that is generated by the previous link, or it may be belonging to the other programs. Means to say, in earlier linkers, in earlier dynamic linkers also, we have seen those unresolved things must and should only belong to the library routines. But it now can belong to the either library routines, which are we are calling it as archives, or either it can belong to your own code of a different program. Means you are using a part or you are using a segment of the code belonging to the other program which is currently residing in memory that can be linked to your program. Something like we don't need to only refer to the library, we can also refer to the code present in other programs residing in the memory. So means to say you can create your own library and that will also be included. That's what we mean by shared objects. Shared objects are the control section or code belonging to multiple programs which are shared together, right? Okay, when the link editor finds a symbol defined in a shared object, then the dependency is recorded and the entire shared object is linked during the runtime. Means suppose you have an input-output function in a control section A belonging to program 1 which is used by program 2, then this entire control section A will going to be linked dynamically during the execution of program B, right? That's what we mean by shared objects. Yeah, the runtime linker just does the dynamic executables. So means bind the dynamic executables and the shared objects. Means either you are binding the functions that is present in your library or you are linking the functions that is belonging to the other program residing in the memory. That's what is the primary role of your runtime linker, and it is just loading and linking the things. It determines which shared object should we use, their dependencies on other shared objects. A uses B, B uses C, like that way. So that dependencies are resolved. After the shared objects are included, reallocation and linking operation is performed. If you remember earlier I told, those unresolved symbols are entered into a external symbol table and marked that they are unresolved, and those unresolved symbols are now resolved either through archives or through shared objects, right? That's what is the thinking. And runtime linker is responsible for dynamically, means during the execution they can bind those symbols together with this. Yeah, Cray MPP is a very small type of linker. We can see this, and remember Cray T3E system. uses this Cray MPP linker, right? And it contains a large, and whatever this Cray D3, whatever we call MS-DOS and all are the machine architectures. And the linkers are designed according to those machine architectures. Just like instruction is separately designed for each machine architecture, this is also a similar way. And the special thing we need to understand is that this Cray MPP linker or Cray T3 systems supports the parallel processing. Means, so that's the reason Cray T3 system contains a large number of processing elements. The processing elements share the memory. So means to say they are parallelly processing the required code or required task. We shall see that how exactly it works. So now, as of now, you understand they contain set of processing units. Each processing unit means they are a cluster of systems, or they are a cluster of parallel systems wherein we have each processing unit has its own memory and has the access to the hard disk and the file system and other resources. So like that. Further in your architectures, you learn about the parallel processing. So as of now, we are just looking it in terms of our linker, right? Okay. Each processing unit can access to the memory of its own as well as of all other program elements. Processing elements. Means all other processors. We can think of it. Means the memory is shared between the processing units. I can access the next processing unit elements memory. It can access the memory means memory of my processing element. An application is allowed to partition of the T3E which contains the processing element. So an application can be parallelly executed by set of processing elements, right? The work done by the program is divided between the programming elements. Just have a look at an example. This example is in detail has been given in the book. You just can assume. I want a program that need to work with a an array, which is containing 256 elements. Okay, actually 257 because our array index is starting from 1. 257 elements. Then you can see these elements, 16 elements of the array is divided into each processing elements. Means the first 16 elements of the array is processed by P0. The next 16 is processed by P1. So on. The 15th or actually the 16th processing element is processing the last 16 elements of the array. Means this is what we call it as parallel execution. So all 256 elements is not processed by the single processing element, but is shared or it is divided to be executed in parallel by 16 processing elements. This sort of division of data, we call it as data partitioning or something like that. Okay, we shall see that. Yeah. The data divided between the processing elements is called as shared data. And if suppose you may ask me that I have the first element to be accessed by the second processing element, yes, you can do it because the memory is shared. The memory of the processing element 0 is shared with processing element 1 and so on till 15. So anybody can access any data, but the division of the data makes the processing happen quickly or parallelly. That's what is the thing. Okay, when the program is loaded, each processing element, now you may ask me that where is the code? That's what we are trying to tell. The program is loaded, each program element will get a copy of executable code. So the processing element 0 will also get a code, 1 will also get a code, similarly 15 will also get a code. And those data that is only specific to be used by a particular processing element, we call it as a private data. And those private data is given to only those processing elements, and the data which is common, which is supposed to be shared, are given to or divided and given to each processing elements. The diagram can show you that. So code will be there given to each of the processing elements, and the private data which is only specific to the processing element, and the shared data which is common between the processing elements. Okay, yeah. The MPP linker organizes the code and data into a list, something like a linked list or something like that. Each block on the list share the common property, that is, it contains executable code, the private data, and the shared data. Okay, are grouped together. Means the linked list contain all these things. So those instructions or those part that is belonging to the code section will go to exe. Private data will go to private section, means private data section, and shared data will go to the shared data section. Yeah, the blocks on each list is grouped, then the reallocation and the linking is done. Means after we have clearly separated the code into exe, private data, and shared data, then we're going to make them as a separate units, and accordingly the reallocation and the linking will be done in each of the processing elements. The number of processing elements to be used is specified during the execution. So whether you divide the code and data and private data between 5 processing elements or 10 or 16, that has to be specified during the execution, and that will be decided by your either the programmer or either the runtime environment that is going to choose the number of processing elements for execution. This is the end of our module 2, that is loaders and linkers. So we shall stop here. And wait, don't end the meeting. I'll just stop the recording. We shall continue discussing about our internet. Okay.